In a small town called Henryville, Indiana, a baby boy named Harlan David Sanders was born on September 9, 1890. Life, however, was not kind to him. At just 5 years old, Harlan lost his father, leaving his mother alone to raise 3 children. This tragic event forced Harlan to grow up faster than most children. His mother took on work outside the home, leaving Harlan in charge of cooking and caring for his younger siblings. In an era where food preparation required skill and patience, he quickly learned how to prepare hearty meals using the limited ingredients available. Every meal was a challenge, requiring careful planning and resourcefulness. What started as a responsibility soon became a passion, as Harlan found joy in experimenting with different cooking techniques, adjusting flavors, and making each dish as satisfying as possible. Over time, he developed an instinct for seasoning and frying methods, skills that would later become the foundation of his success. However, despite his growing culinary talents, life was far from easy. The absence of a father figure and the burden of responsibility weighed heavily on him, making childhood feel more like a long, unrelenting struggle than a time of carefree innocence. At the age of 12, after his mother remarried, Harlan found himself under the roof of an abusive stepfather. The man was harsh, intolerant, and often resorted to physical punishments for even the smallest infractions. The once warm and loving home became a place of fear and uncertainty. Harlan endured constant criticism and was forced into laborious chores that exceeded his years. Despite his young age, he developed an acute sense of self-preservation, understanding that if he remained, he would never have the freedom to shape his own future. One night, after a particularly violent outburst from his stepfather, Harlan decided that he could no longer stay. He gathered a few belongings, stuffed them into a small cloth sack, and, under the cover of darkness, left home. The road ahead was unknown and daunting, but he preferred the uncertainties of the world over the certainties of continued abuse. For weeks, he roamed from town to town, taking whatever odd jobs he could find, milking cows, washing dishes, and working on farms in exchange for food and shelter. Every night, he went to sleep not knowing where he would be the next day. It was during this period that he learned the resilience that would define his later years. Life was cruel, but Harlan Sanders was determined to carve his own path, no matter the odds stacked against him. With no formal education and nowhere to go, Harlan took on any job he could find. He worked as a farmhand, where he endured long hours under the scorching sun, breaking his back for mere pennies. As a streetcar conductor, he learned discipline and customer service but found the work monotonous. He later became a railroad fireman, a position requiring immense physical strength, where he shoveled coal into steaming locomotive engines, enduring burns and exhaustion. Seeking greater opportunities, he enlisted in the army, believing it would provide him with stability. However, after serving only a short period, he was discharged and left once again to fend for himself. Determined to find success, he dabbled in multiple industries, always searching for a stable path. He tried selling insurance, tirelessly knocking on doors to persuade hesitant customers, learning the art of persistence and rejection. He managed a ferry boat company, navigating not only the waters but the unpredictable tides of business, dealing with logistics, customer complaints, and mechanical failures. He even practiced law, taking on small cases for local clients. However, A heated courtroom argument with a client led to a physical altercation, abruptly ending his legal career. His ambition led him into more experimental ventures. He attempted to start a lamp manufacturing business, but demand for his product was low. He bought a small motel, hoping to run a hospitality business, but it burned down before he could make it profitable. He even tried running a small cafe, where he refined his skills in customer service and food preparation. No matter how hard he worked, obstacles seemed to block his path to lasting success. By the time he turned 40, he had moved from town to town, failed at over a dozen jobs, and was still searching for his true calling. He was no stranger to heartbreak, yet every failure only strengthened his resolve. He absorbed lessons from each setback, learning the nuances of business, human behavior, and most importantly, resilience. The weight of his failures was heavy, but deep inside, the fire of determination still burned, urging him to keep going. He knew that the road to success was never straight, and he was willing to walk every winding turn to find it. He tried selling insurance, tirelessly knocking on doors to persuade hesitant customers. He managed a ferry boat company, navigating the unpredictable tides of business. He even practiced law, though a courtroom altercation with a client cut his legal career short. Each venture ended in disappointment, leaving him with a growing sense of failure. His attempts at running small businesses were just as rocky. He tried selling insurance, managing a ferry boat company, and even practicing law for a short time. Each of these ventures started with promise but soon crumbled under various challenges. Selling insurance required charisma and persistence, but Harlan struggled with securing long-term clients. His ferry boat business faced logistical issues and competition, making it difficult to sustain profits. Practicing law, which he initially found intriguing, ended abruptly due to a heated argument with a client that led to physical confrontation, permanently closing that chapter of his life. Desperate for stability, Harlan turned to other endeavors, including running a small motel, opening a service station, and even attempting to manufacture lamps. The motel venture was cut short due to a devastating fire, leaving him once again at a financial crossroads. The lamp business, although innovative, failed due to low consumer demand and high production costs. At one point, he tried operating a small cafe where he cooked and served meals himself, unknowingly laying the groundwork for what would later become his greatest success. By the time he turned 40, he had moved from town to town, tried and failed at over a dozen jobs, and was still searching for his true calling. Each failure left him feeling more disillusioned, yet he refused to surrender. He absorbed valuable lessons from every setback, learning the intricacies of business operations, the unpredictability of customer behavior, and most importantly, the necessity of persistence. Though life had repeatedly knocked him down, he remained determined to carve out a future where he could finally achieve stability and purpose. The fire inside him had not dimmed. It was simply waiting for the right opportunity to ignite into something far greater than he had ever imagined. Despite his hardships, Harlan's love for cooking never faded. In 1930, he took over a small gas station in Corbin, Kentucky, where he initially focused solely on selling fuel. However, he quickly noticed that weary travelers often needed more than just gasoline. They needed a place to rest and a good meal to rejuvenate their spirits. Seizing the opportunity, Harlan began preparing home-cooked meals in the small back room of the station, using simple but hearty recipes that reminded customers of home. Among the dishes he served, his fried chicken quickly became a standout favorite. Unlike typical fried chicken, which was often greasy and took too long to cook, Harlan experimented with different cooking techniques. Eventually, he developed a unique method using a pressure cooker, which not only reduced cooking time but also locked in moisture and flavor, making the chicken tender, crispy, and irresistibly delicious. Word of his cooking spread, drawing in more and more travelers, and earning him a stellar reputation throughout Kentucky. As demand grew, he expanded the menu and set up a small dining area, transforming the gas station into a full-fledged roadside eatery. He personally greeted customers, ensuring that every plate was served with care, and he took immense pride in maintaining high-quality ingredients and impeccable service. Harlan's attention to detail extended beyond just the food. He ensured the ambience was warm and welcoming, encouraging travelers to linger and enjoy their meals. It wasn't long before people traveled miles out of their way just to taste his famous fried chicken. Truck drivers, businessmen, families on road trips, all made detours to experience the now legendary flavors of his perfectly seasoned, pressure-fried chicken. His restaurant became not just a stopover but a destination, where stories were exchanged, friendships were formed, and loyal customers returned time and time again. He had finally discovered his calling, serving food that brought people comfort and joy. But beyond just feeding them, he created an experience. For the first time in his life, he felt he was on the path to something truly great, something that had the potential to go far beyond the small town of Corbin, Kentucky. The scent of his secret blend of herbs and spices wafted through the air, drawing in visitors who left not only with full stomachs but with memories of a meal that felt like home. Seeing the potential, he converted his gas station into a full-fledged restaurant, renaming it Sanders Court and Cafe. He expanded the dining area, hired additional staff, and refined his secret blend of 11 herbs and spices, ensuring that his fried chicken had a unique and unforgettable taste. Word spread rapidly, and soon, travelers were making detours just to stop at his restaurant. His reputation for high-quality food and hospitality made his establishment a landmark in Kentucky. At its peak, Sanders Court and Cafe was thriving, serving hundreds of meals daily. The restaurant even caught the attention of food critics, earning accolades that boosted its status further. Travelers from neighboring states and beyond made special trips to experience Harlan's famous fried chicken, and glowing reviews appeared in newspapers, further cementing his reputation as a culinary master. Beyond its food, the restaurant became a community hub. Families gathered for weekend dinners, truck drivers relied on it as a home away from home, and locals proudly recommended it to visitors. Harlan himself was ever present, often seen mingling with guests, personally checking on their meals, and making sure each dish met his high standards. He would chat with customers about their travels, share cooking tips, and even take special requests for personalized meals. He took immense pride in the legacy he was building, not just as a chef but as a host who made people feel welcome. For the first time in his life, he felt that all his struggles had been worth it. He was no longer the man bouncing from job to job, nor the man struggling to find his purpose. He had built something real, something lasting. The joy he saw on the faces of satisfied customers was his greatest reward. The restaurant wasn't just about food, it was about experience, community, and the warmth of a shared meal. But just as things were looking up, disaster struck once again. A newly constructed highway was rerouted, diverting traffic away from Corbin, Kentucky. The once busy road that brought thousands of travelers to his restaurant was now deserted. With fewer customers, sales plummeted, and he found himself struggling to cover expenses. Facing financial ruin, Harland was forced to sell his restaurant at a loss. At an age where most people would have given up, he instead saw this as another challenge, an opportunity to reinvent himself once again. At 62 years old, with barely any money left, Harland made a bold decision. He would sell his fried chicken recipe to other restaurant owners instead of running his own. This was a radical shift in his approach to business, one that required him to step out of his comfort zone. With nothing more than a suitcase filled with spices and a well-worn pressure cooker, he set out on a journey that would test his resilience like never before. Each morning, he woke up in unfamiliar motels or sometimes even slept in his car, determined to keep moving forward. The road was long and lonely, filled with uncertainty, but he refused to let his hardships deter him. Often, he would drive for miles, running on little more than sheer willpower and a belief in his recipe. He visited diners, cafes, and roadside eateries, walking in with his unwavering confidence and a simple proposition. "Let me cook you the best fried chicken you've ever tasted, and if you like it, consider adding it to your menu." But it wasn't just about selling a product. It was about selling an experience. He shared stories of how he perfected the recipe, the countless hours spent refining the blend of 11 herbs and spices, and the careful process that ensured every bite was juicy and flavorful. Restaurant owners were skeptical at first, questioning why they should trust an aging salesman in a white suit. Many doubted whether fried chicken could truly be a game-changer in the restaurant business, especially when most diners and cafes were focused on hamburgers and sandwiches. But Harland was persistent. He carried his pressure cooker everywhere, ready to demonstrate his method at a moment's notice, setting up his makeshift kitchen in the back of restaurants, determined to prove his recipe's worth. Each demonstration was an event in itself. He meticulously seasoned the chicken, explaining the importance of his 11 herbs and spices, emphasizing how the pressure cooking method sealed the moisture while ensuring a crispy exterior. As the rich aroma filled the kitchen, curiosity turned into fascination. Restaurant owners who had initially dismissed him watched as their staff took the first bite, their expressions shifting from skepticism to surprise and delight. Slowly, one converted customer at a time, he began to make progress. Despite this, many still hesitated, unsure if they wanted to commit to a licensing deal with an independent salesman. Harland, however, wasn't just selling a product, he was selling a vision. He painted a picture of busy restaurants serving up golden, crispy chicken that would keep customers coming back. Some owners finally saw the potential, while others still turned him away. But for every rejection, he refined his approach, tweaked his pitch, and continued knocking on doors, undeterred by the obstacles in his path. Some days were brutally discouraging. Long drives, rejections, and nights spent wondering if he was chasing an impossible dream. But every rejection only strengthened his resolve. He knew deep down that if he could just get the right people to taste his chicken, his vision would take off. And so, he pressed on, knocking on doors, shaking hands, and proving to the world that his dream was worth believing in. Harland had perfected his cooking method through years of trial and error, using a pressure fryer to cook his chicken faster while preserving its juicy texture. But even with a superior product, convincing restaurant owners to trust a 62-year-old salesman with nothing but a white suit and a dream was an uphill battle. Many turned him away without even tasting the chicken. Others dismissed him outright, believing that fried chicken wasn't a dish worth featuring prominently. Despite the relentless rejection, he pressed on, adjusting his pitch, refining his cooking demonstration, and learning from every failed attempt. The long days and countless refusals would have broken most people, but Harland's belief in his product never wavered. He knew that all he needed was one yes to start a ripple effect. That moment finally arrived when a small diner owner took a chance on him, agreeing to try his recipe. That single opportunity was the breakthrough he needed, paving the way for what would eventually become one of the most successful franchises in the world. But his idea was met with relentless rejection. He was turned away more than 1,000 times, each refusal a painful reminder of how difficult it was to convince others to believe in his vision. Some restaurant owners chuckled at his persistence, dismissing him as nothing more than a desperate old man chasing an impossible dream. Others flat out refused to entertain the idea of changing their menu for a dish they weren't sure would sell. Many doubted that fried chicken could compete with the growing popularity of hamburgers and quick grill sandwiches. At times, the rejections were brutal. Some owners didn't even allow him to demonstrate his cooking, brushing him off before he could set up his pressure cooker. Others humored him with a taste test, only to thank him politely and decline his offer. The road was lonely and discouraging. Yet, with each rejection, Sanders adjusted his approach, refining his pitch, perfecting his demonstrations, and learning from each failed attempt. He knew that most people only saw an aging salesman in a white suit, but he saw something more. He saw the future of a fast food empire, and he refused to give up. Finally, after countless doors slammed in his face, a restaurant owner agreed to try his chicken. That one yes changed everything. Through it all, he refused to give up. Finally, after countless doors slammed in his face, a restaurant owner agreed to try his chicken. As more restaurants adopted his fried chicken recipe, demand began to grow rapidly. The signature blend of 11 herbs and spices, a closely guarded secret, was unlike anything available at the time. Combined with his revolutionary pressure cooking method, which ensured faster cooking times without sacrificing flavor or texture, his fried chicken became a game-changer in the fast food industry. Restaurant owners raved about the efficiency and quality of his recipe, realizing that they could serve customers a delicious meal in record time while maintaining a consistent taste. This consistency became a key selling point, setting KFC apart from competitors who struggled to achieve the same level of quality across multiple locations. Additionally, the simplicity of the cooking process made it easy for restaurants to scale up production without sacrificing flavor, further increasing the appeal of Sanders' unique franchise model. The carefully guarded blend of 11 herbs and spices became the defining characteristic of KFC, ensuring that no matter where customers dined, they would experience the same mouth-watering, crispy, and flavorful fried chicken. Beyond the recipe itself, Sanders also emphasized the importance of hospitality, cleanliness, and customer satisfaction, training franchise owners to uphold the high standards he had established at his original restaurant. Unlike other fast food brands that focused primarily on speed, KFC prided itself on delivering a superior product with a touch of Southern charm, reinforcing the brand's reputation for quality and authenticity. Word-of-mouth recommendations and newspaper articles praising his method helped fuel the expansion, and soon, entrepreneurs from different states were eager to partner with Harlan to bring his chicken to new markets. As demand surged, Sanders refined his franchising model, ensuring that each new location upheld the same quality standards that had made KFC a success. He traveled tirelessly, visiting new franchises personally, demonstrating his cooking techniques, and mentoring owners on how to deliver an exceptional customer experience. KFC was no longer just a restaurant, it was becoming an American institution. The distinct aroma of his 11-herb and spice blend filled kitchens across the country, creating an irresistible pull for customers. Families began making KFC a part of their weekend traditions, and travelers sought out the brand wherever they went. The consistency of taste and the familiarity of the Colonel's warm smile on every restaurant sign solidified the brand's reputation. What had started as a single roadside restaurant in Kentucky was rapidly transforming into a nationwide phenomenon, with diners lining up to experience the unique flavor and crispy perfection of his famous fried chicken. KFC outlets began appearing in major cities, expanding beyond the South and making their way into bustling urban centers and suburban communities alike. Families embraced KFC as a special treat, while busy professionals and travelers appreciated the convenience of high-quality, quick-service fried chicken. The impact of Sanders' vision extended beyond just the food. It was a revolution in how franchises operated, setting the stage for fast food's dominance in the global marketplace. By ensuring every franchise followed strict guidelines for preparation, service, and branding, Sanders established a level of consistency that was unprecedented in the restaurant industry. This method of expansion created a blueprint that many future fast food giants would follow. With his distinctive white suit and charming personality, Sanders was more than just a businessman. He was the face of a growing empire. He became a symbol of hospitality, and his presence in advertising campaigns helped KFC stand out in an increasingly competitive market. As word spread and more franchise locations opened, KFC quickly became one of the most recognizable names in American dining. However, the success of the business also introduced new challenges. The rapid growth required constant oversight, and Sanders, now in his 70s, struggled to manage the ever-expanding network of franchises. Despite his passion for quality, the scale of operations made it increasingly difficult to maintain the personal touch he had once prided himself on. Yet, he remained committed to ensuring that every meal bearing the KFC name met his original high standards. By the time he was 65, Harlan had officially launched Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC. His face, now framed with a white mustache and glasses, became the face of the brand. He personally traveled across the country, ensuring that every franchise met his high standards. By the time he turned 73, KFC had over 600 locations across the United States. But despite his success, Harlan struggled to manage the massive operation. In 1964, he made the difficult decision to sell KFC for $2 million, a large sum at the time, but nothing compared to what the brand would eventually be worth. Although Harlan had sold KFC, he remained the face of the brand. However, as the company expanded under new management, He was horrified to see them change his original recipe to cut costs. The new owners opted for cheaper ingredients, modified cooking techniques, and prioritized efficiency over the taste and quality that had defined KFC from the beginning. Furious, Sanders publicly criticized the new owners, claiming that KFC no longer served his chicken. He even went as far as filing a lawsuit against the company, arguing that the modifications had tarnished the brand he had worked so hard to build. Feeling betrayed, he made multiple media appearances where he openly voiced his disappointment, calling the new recipe a shadow of what it once was. He lamented that the fast food industry had prioritized cost-cutting over authenticity, and that his once-beloved brand had sacrificed quality for profit. Sanders did not shy away from expressing his frustration, even going so far as to state that he wouldn't eat at KFC himself due to the drastic changes in its food. Despite the legal battles and public disputes, KFC continued to expand aggressively under corporate ownership, leveraging mass marketing and global expansion strategies. Though Sanders had lost control over the company, he never lost his passion for serving high-quality food and remained a staunch advocate for preserving the art of good cooking. Despite this, he never stopped cooking. In his later years, he and his wife opened a new restaurant, Claudia Sanders Dinner House, in Shelbyville, Kentucky. This establishment was more than just a restaurant. It was his way of preserving the authenticity of his cooking and honoring the Southern hospitality that had always been central to his brand. Unlike the mass-produced food of the KFC franchises under corporate management, Claudia Sanders' Dinner House remained a place where meals were crafted with care, using high-quality ingredients and traditional cooking methods. At the restaurant, Sanders personally oversaw the kitchen, ensuring that each dish met his exacting standards. The menu expanded beyond just fried chicken, incorporating classic Southern dishes such as country ham, homemade biscuits, and rich, flavorful gravies. Many customers visited not just for the food but for the chance to meet the Colonel himself, who often mingled with guests, sharing stories and reminiscing about his journey. Even in his final years, Sanders remained passionate about great food, proving that his love for cooking was never just about business. It was about creating something meaningful that brought people together. He continued refining recipes, experimenting with flavors, and sharing his knowledge with those who worked alongside him. He would often be found in the kitchen, personally inspecting ingredients and tasting dishes to ensure they met his high standards. Claudia Sanders' Dinner House became a living testament to his dedication, not just as a restaurateur but as a man who valued quality, tradition, and personal connections. The restaurant embodied the values that he had instilled in KFC before it changed under corporate leadership. Visitors who dined at the establishment often remarked on the warmth and authenticity of the experience, something that had become increasingly rare in the fast food industry. Even after stepping away from KFC, Sanders never lost sight of what truly mattered to him. He was not simply a businessman. He was an artist in the kitchen, a mentor to young cooks, and a storyteller who relished the opportunity to share his journey with those willing to listen. His mission to serve high-quality food never wavered, proving that his legacy was about more than just a brand. It was about a lifelong commitment to excellence and the simple joy of a well-cooked meal. On December 16, 1980, Colonel Harlan Sanders passed away at the age of 90. But his legacy lived on. Today, KFC operates in more than 27,000 locations across over 150 countries, serving millions of customers daily. His face, still prominently displayed on KFC's branding, remains a symbol of perseverance, passion, and the pursuit of excellence. The brand has evolved to meet changing consumer preferences, incorporating local flavors and expanding its menu beyond fried chicken, but the core of Sanders' vision, high-quality, flavorful food served with consistency, remains intact. From a single roadside cafe in Kentucky to a global fast food powerhouse, KFC's enduring success is a testament to the indomitable spirit of its founder. His story remains a testament to the power of persistence, passion, and self-belief. At an age when most people retire, Colonel Sanders was just getting started. He turned a lifetime of failures into a global empire, proving that success has no expiration date. His unwavering determination, despite overwhelming odds, serves as an enduring reminder that resilience and adaptability can redefine one's future at any stage of life. Even when faced with rejection after rejection, he remained steadfast in his belief that his product had value, and that belief ultimately reshaped the fast food industry forever. Harlan Sanders' story is more than just the origin of KFC. It's a powerful testament to resilience, reinvention, and the boundless potential of human determination. Whether you're 25, 45, or 65, your greatest achievements may still be ahead of you. Success does not have a deadline, and each challenge faced is simply another step toward growth. Every setback, every rejection, and every failure is a lesson in disguise, an opportunity to refine your approach and push forward with greater wisdom. Never stop knocking on doors, because persistence can turn obstacles into opportunities. The world might just be waiting for your idea, your moment, and your breakthrough. Keep believing, keep striving, and never underestimate the impact of relentless perseverance. Like Colonel Sanders, your defining moment might come when you least expect it, but only if you refuse to give up. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Epic English Stories channel for more tips and strategies on learning English. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Together, let's make reading in English a fun and fulfilling part of your language.